Hey guys, my name is Kevin. I have an 02 WRX, and I've been noticing online there's not many how-to instructional videos on do-it-yourself grills, at least, so I'm going to go ahead and throw one out there. This is for, like I said, the 02, 03, so if you have another grill you might be able to do something like this, but it won't be exact, obviously. So far I've just taken out all the honeycomb, or stock mesh if you want to call it. And this is where I'm at so far. This process took me about 4 hours, but I also went to the store in between and got some stuff, so it is a very tedious project, but it's pretty simple to do. I'd say somebody that knows a little bit of car knowledge could do it, or a little bit of mechanical knowledge. Starting off with the supplies I used, I didn't really use that many supplies actually. I used a Dremel, and I used 3 different bits. The first bit was a sanding bit. It just looks like a little piece of sandpaper. It's pretty, standard. If you go into a hardware store, you can get one. I think it cost me around $3, $4. The other bit you're going to need is a cutoff bit, and it just has a little piece of some kind of fiberglass, I think, or something. Bit that actually cuts into metal. You're going to need one of these just to cut a lot of the plastic. So that's definitely necessary for this project. The last bit you're going to need for the Dremel is actually a little stone sander shaped like this. You're kind of going to need 2 of them. I don't know the technical name for it, but you will need 2 of them because they'll end up wearing out. Another main thing you're going to need is a file. Any type of file will do, I'm sure. This is just a little one. A pair of pliers. These are from Harbor Freight, so not much money spent on those. I'm using 2 types of Bondo. I'm using the glazing putty, which, this is super cheap. I got it in Myers, a couple bucks. This also I got in Myers, and this is a standard Bondo that you use for body filling. I forget how much this cost me. I think it was around $9. For all the products, I actually spent around $35, so it wasn't too bad. I think one of these grills, if you bought them online, is around $200, so it really is a money saver. Also, you're going to need to get some Loctite. If you probably have it laying around the house. I didn't, but this is actually to put the grill and the mesh onto the back of the grill. And finally, you're going to need some gutter guard mesh. This was a little expensive. This is $10 for 5 of them. I really don't need 5 of them. I don't own a house, but I now own 5 of them, and I'm using 1. So, alright, let's get started. I'll tell you exactly step to step how to do what I did. The first thing I did when I had the stock honeycomb on it was I took a pair of pliers and actually started to just snap off the stock honeycomb. And this will make it easier for when you actually go to cut it with your Dremel. You're not going to sit there and be cutting a bunch of pieces off. You're just going to cut, the ones that are actually attached to the grill still. Now when I did break them off, I didn't break off any that were actually attached to the grill or on the side here, because that would actually probably end up breaking the grill, and you don't want to do that. So leave these little stud pieces that aren't broke off on, and don't try to break them off the pliers, because you end up cracking the grill, and it's going to be pointless to do this. The next step was taking the cutoff tool and actually cutting off. I turned this thing, you can turn it either way, but cutting off the little pieces that were extra on here. I'd say the hardest part was around this emblem. There's a lot of plastic. If you go from the back and sit there and actually cut it for a little bit, you'll get it. It takes a while. It's very tedious, but you will get it cut off, and shouldn't have any problems. Some of the trouble areas were the ends here, obviously, because they're a little bit different size, I guess, than the rest, and you need to watch out how much meat you cut off, because you can cut off too much and then be screwed again. But as long as you're careful, you'll be fine. It wasn't that hard to do, but like I said, tedious. The next thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and take the sanding bit on your Dremel and start to really sand down some of the excess things that after you cut them off the cutting wheel, you can have a little bit of excess. Obviously, you can't get super close, but you're going to have a little bit of excess. So you go ahead and use your stone sanding bit. It looks like this. Use one of this. This one's ruined. It's got plastic all over it from it melting on it, but like I said, you need to buy 2 of them. Go ahead and use that and start to grind down all these little nubs. And even go over here and grind down the big pieces. And like around here, you're going to need to do the same with it. And it's going to look horrible. It's going to look like you killed it, but don't worry about it, because you're going to take the actual sandpaper one next and really smooth those down. And then the next thing you're going to notice is you're going to think, why the hell is there a bunch of holes in this now? Because there will be little holes just from sanding, from where actually the stock honeycomb is connected throughout the bottom. And I don't think I had any on the top, but mainly the bottom and the sides. That's when you're going to go ahead and get the Bondo and try to push it through as best you can on the bottom. Let it kind of seep through, because it'll seep through to the top, and really get it in there and let it sit for a while. I mean, obviously the more hardening compound you use, the quicker it's going to dry. But I mean, it's not going to be any better than just using the correct amount. But I'm always in a hurry whenever I do anything, so I use a little bit more. But once that's dry, you go ahead and take the sandpaper bit again, and you go ahead and sand off most of the Bondo that's obviously not making it flush. The next part is where I'm at now. Is I actually grabbed some glazing putty. This is Bondo, like I said, Myers, couple bucks, and I went ahead and started filling in the fine defects. And this stuff's really easy to sand too. It's hand sanding like material. You really don't need any heavy duty sander to get it off, which is great. I hate sanding. It's just a pain in the ass. And something else I forgot, but hopefully you have it laying around, is some sandpaper. And then you need to actually a little finer grit too for when you go to finish up the sanding. So that's what I'm at now. And what you can pre-prepare, like I did, prepare, I don't know how to say that, is the grill mesh. This is what it looks like after it's painted, and I actually went, probably needs to be painted again. I painted it 2 coats, but it's pretty cold out, so maybe it just didn't stick or something. I went ahead and bent this, and I didn't even use 10 snips. I just used to get the sides and stuff. I just used my cutoff tool on the Dremel actually, and got this to the shape that I needed. So there that is, and that just literally pops right in the back. Let me show you what that looks like. But this just fits right in here, and then you're actually just going to have that look like that. It's going to look pretty fancy. I also have an STI logo that I'm going to go ahead and put in there. It was already on my stock honeycomb grill. I made it work on the stock one, because I have a lot of the body parts for the STI on mine. So that's that. And then you're going to go ahead and glue that on with your epoxy onto the back of that, the mesh. And actually, I haven't got there, but I will get there soon. Once you sand it down and have it to a sand level you really want it to be at, I would suggest doing 3 to 4 coats of primer, just because you're going to see a lot of defects when you're probably done from grinding it and stuff so much. And that's really going to set in the small, fine cracks. I mean, it's probably not going to be perfect, just because if you're using the Dremel, it's really hard to get stuff perfect and all the imperfections out. But that's where the spot glazing putty helps a lot. Pretty much that's it. You're going to sand it down, and then I painted about 3 coats too, so those small hairline scratches will go away if you put a lot of paint on it. The more paint, the better. But they said to use some kind of paint online. It's plastic paint that actually sticks on better. I mean, I bought this today too. It's something else you need, but I figured you have this lying around. It is paint for plastic. And this is a semi-gloss. I wasn't going to use like something super shiny, because this isn't, the stock one's not really super shiny. It's a semi-gloss too. But yeah, you do a lot of coats of this, and that'll help. Eventually, I think it's all going to chip. Rocks are going to hit it, salt's going to get in it. It's going to chip a little bit, but you can always go back and touch it up. And some people, by the way, cut this completely off and don't have anything in here. But I chose to keep this logo on here just because I think it looks very clean. I do like a logo on my car, so I kept it in there. So it is very tedious. You got to use the file right here once you have these cut off to get them smooth. And it is a process, and probably will take you about 6 hours, 7 hours to do completely. But I think it's going to look pretty nice when I'm done, and hopefully I'll have another picture or video up when it is done completely. So thanks a lot.